The Loser's Game by Charlie Ellis. This is very interesting. Anybody here know the name of the company TRW? Few people. TRW used to be a big conglomerate, and now it's known primarily for credit scores. And there was a guy named Cy Ramo. He was the R. It was Thompson, Ramo, Woolridge, and he was the R in TRW, and very smart. And Cy Ramo wrote a book, and it was about winning at tennis. Who here plays tennis? Okay, this is good, because as I go around the world now, very few people play tennis anymore. But what Ramo said is that there are two kinds of winning tennis players. If you look at Pete Sampras or Nadal or Djokovic, how do they win? The winning champion tennis player wins by hitting winning shots. He hits shots that the opponent can't return. They're either so well placed or so strategic or so fast and hard that the opponent can't return them. And if Nadal hits a shot which is not a potential winner, then his opponent can probably put it away because it doesn't have enough difficulty on the ball. So the championship tennis player wins by hitting winners. You play tennis, right? How do you win? Do you win?
Sometimes.
How do you win?
If I win, it's by not hitting it out.
That's right. The amateur tennis player, like him and me, we win not by hitting winners, but by avoiding hitting losers. And we believe that if we can just push it back 20 times and just get it over the net 20 times, our opponent can only do it 19. We believe that we'll outsteady him, outlast him, and eventually he'll hit it into the net or off the court. We'll win the point. But we'll win the point without having hit a winner. So there are obviously two styles of tennis. And so the same is true for investing. And so Charlie Ellis wrote an article called The Loser's Game. And he said he thought that in investing, so championship tennis is a winner's game. It's won by winners. He thought amateur tennis is a loser's game. It's won by the people who avoid being losers. He thought that Charlie thinks, or thought, that investing is a loser's game. And so the best way to win at tennis is at investing is by not hitting losers. Now, I believe also that it's a loser's game, not as much as Charlie believes, and not for the same reason. Charlie believes that investing is a loser's game because the market is efficient and securities are priced right. I believe there are inefficiencies. I just think it's hard to consistently take advantage of them, and you have to be an exceptional person to take advantage of them on a consistent basis. And the reason that the pro can go for winners is because he is so well schooled and practiced and steady and talented that he knows that if he does this with his foot and this with his hip and this with his elbow and this with his wrist, that the ball will go where he wants. He doesn't worry about miscues, wind, sun in his eyes, distraction. He's so well schooled. And in fact, in scoring tennis matches, they keep track of something called unforced errors. And the reason they keep track of them is because there are so few. The pro doesn't make a lot of unforced errors. We make unforced errors all the time. And so in order to survive, we have to avoid them. So the point is, if you're going to be an investor, you have to decide, am I good enough to go for winners? Or should I emphasize the avoidance of losers in my approach? So lastly, I'll just leave you with what I consider my three greatest adages, not mine, but the ones I've encountered over my career and that have been the most helpful. And they're all used in the book. First of all, what the wise man does in the beginning, the fool does in the end. In every trend in investing, it eventually becomes overdone. If you find an asset which is cheap and buy it, that's great. If everybody else figures it out that it's cheap, then it'll go up. Then people see that it's rising, and more people jump on the bandwagon, goes up, 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 and the last person to buy it is a fool, and the first person to buy it is a wise man. It's the same asset, just at different prices. And as people say, first the innovator, then the imitator, then the idiot. So that's another way to look at this adage. Number two, Never forget the 6-foot-tall man who drowned crossing the stream that was 5 feet deep on average, kind of like that skydiver who's right 98% of the time. It's not sufficient, depending on how you want to live your life, to survive on average. We have to survive on the bad days. So we have to be able to survive the low spots in the stream. Your portfolio has to be set up to survive on the bad days, so you won't be shaken out of your investments. And then finally, being too far ahead of your time is indistinguishable from being wrong, and yet that's a great challenge because, as I said before, the things that are supposed to happen will not necessarily happen, and they absolutely will not happen on time. So you have to be able to live until the wisdom of your decisions is proved, if at all. So all of these things, I think, say something about modesty and humility of belief rather than cocksureness, which I think is the greatest risk.